Today we honor the 450th Yahrzeit of the Arizal, Rab Isaac, Rab Yitzchak Luria. Zachrenu Tzadik Livracha. The Arizal was a mystic of the highest order, an enigma of the highest order, and someone who changed the very landscape of Jewish life. There's virtually no area of our customs, of our prayers, of our culture that wasn't impacted by the Arizal. And yet at the same time, the Arizal lived a very short life. He passed away at the age 38. And as a matter of fact, he was known only for a period of 1 year and 10 months when he came to Tzfat. And Tzfat, at the time, was the center of Jewish life. You had the greatest giants there. You have Yosef Karo, the Ramoshe Kardaviroi, the Alshech, you have Yehuda Elkavitz, and the list goes on. And they all recognized that they had a unique soul. He was called the Ishaliki, a divine man, a term not used on many people. The Shalah, the great Shalah, writes that when he was in Damascus, he met Rab Chaim Vital, who was another student of the Arizal, who was actually the one that documented the Arizal's teachings. And Rab Chaim Vital showed him the manuscripts of the Kisvei Arizal, of the writings and the teachings that he wrote down from his great teacher, the Arizal. And the Shalah writes, the Shalah, one of the greatest giants himself, writes that from the time of Moshe Rabbeinu from Sinai, there wasn't such a revelation. So we're talking about not just a powerhouse, and yet it was just a short period of time. There's so many things we can learn from the Arizal, but I want to touch upon perhaps the one that is most important of all. It's interesting, it's fascinating. When is his Yahrzeit? On the 5th of Av, right in the middle of the 9 days, the saddest period in the Jewish calendar. Think of it this way, Rab Shimon Bar Yochai, another great mystic, when is his Yahrzeit? Lag BaOmer, also in the middle of a sad period during a plague that killed 24,000 of Rabbi Akiva's students. What do we learn from this? We learn the concept of Magdim Refuah Lamaka, that before any illness, God sends a cure. What is the heart and the essence and the soul of the 9 days? The destruction of the temple, the dissonance and the divide created between heaven and earth. Because what was the temple? The temple was a place where heaven met earth, the interface between the divine and existence. When the Jewish people, unfortunately, were experiencing, tragically, baseless hatred, sinas chinam, so a divided house. How could God, v'shachanti b'seichem, rest among a family, among his children that are fighting with each other? And that was the immediate cause and direct cause of the destruction of the temple. So in one word, the 9 days, we're not just remembering things that happened then, thousands of years ago. We're remembering right now every form of dissonance, every rift, every divide, every divisiveness, anything that separates, that isolates, that disconnects us, is what the 9 days are about. So who of all people can help repair those rifts is someone that represents the very essence of unity. And let's look at the Arizal. What did the Arizal do? Though again, he was barely known for barely 2 years, he united all people. In Jewish history, among the Jewish people, we always find there's a Beis Shammai, there's a Beis Hillel. You always find the great, but there were those that opposed that person. And yet the Arizal united all Jews of all backgrounds. Ashkenazim and Sfardim, Chassidim and non-Chassidim. All schools of thought were united by the Arizal. Why? Because the Arizal represented the integral unity between both parts of the Torah, the body of Torah and the soul of Torah. Materialism divides, spirituality unites. Someone who's a master of the deeper teachings of the soul is a unifying force. And that is the antidote, that is the healing that precedes, the cure that precedes the illness of all forms of dissonance. The same thing Rab Shimon Bar Yochai. What caused The plague, because the students of Rabbi Akiva did not honor one another. A disconnect, a divide, divisiveness. Rab Shimon Bar Yochai again united both parts of the Torah, and therefore he was seen in that way. Someone that connects, that unites. So as we stand now, 450 years from the year Shin Lamed Beis, that was the year that the Arizal passed away. 1572, on the 5th of Av, right in the middle of the 9 days. What better way to honor and celebrate this giant of a man is by us coming out with an unprecedented call of unity, a unity among all of us. The greatest thing we can do in a period like this is to care, is to love, is to share with one another. Because that is the antithesis to all divisiveness. So let us come out with a call like never before. Today with technology, we can reach anyone. That we will do everything possible, especially in these days, all year round, but especially now, to show extra care, to be less judgmental, to be less condescending. I would say eliminate it altogether. And most importantly, to show love, avas chinam, baseless love, because at the end of the day, we are all part of one larger organism. We're all indispensable notes in a cosmic symphony. We all need each other and we're all needed. And the Arizal and his great strength taught us how to do that. We do that by connecting the body and soul. When you look at a person, you don't just look at their body at the superficial surface level. You realize this is a neshama. This is a divine soul, a child of God. A child of God. So as you love God, you love his children. And you realize that we're all part of one family. That is the best antidote and the best cure to repairing the rifts and the divisiveness that plagues often our communities, our cultures, different groups, different ways of thinking. Diversity is beautiful, but not divisiveness. The harmony within diversity. And ultimately, it comes down to also repairing the rifts within ourselves. We also have split personalities. We have different voices, different drives, different tendencies that battle with each other. We all struggle in some way. The day of the Hayav, middle of the 9 days, gives us the power to also correct the dissonance within us, to find a deeper place that connects our disparity, our different voices, our different tendencies, our different drives that often splinter and fragment us. So we have a day like this, and especially 450 years, the Arizal Hachai lives on through us and within us. An excellent day to study and read something from the Arizal, and above all, to reverse that tendency, to reverse the natural inclination that people have towards self-interest. That instead of self-interest, let's take the yesh, which is our ego, and self-interest, and turn it outward to reach to each other, to complement each other. What better way to honor the Arizal on this 450th Yahrzeit? May his neshama shine into each of your lives. May it shine and bring the blessings, shower us with blessings, both materially, spiritually, all in good health. And above all, to create this unprecedented unity. Yes, to dare to change the status quo. And ultimately, that unity, it says, Barchenu Avinu Kolonu Ka'echad. We are blessed. When we are one, our Father blesses us. Because just as divisiveness creates the concealment of the divine, unity manifests it, draws it down, and that we will merit to be reunited with Arizal, with all our great leaders, all great men and women, all men and women of history, with the building and rebuilding of the third temple, even before the Tisha B'Av, in these 9 days, to transform them, Yehovchu Yom HaMeil L'Sasno L'Simcha L'Moedim Tevim, to transform these negative days into not just neutralize them, but transform them into days of holidays and celebration. Everyone be blessed and be well. Thank you.